All right, we're going to start this one off with Mark Carney replacing the Canadian flag with the pride flag at his office in Ottawa. I don't know for sure, but this leads me to believe that he could possibly be a little bit light in the loafers, if you know what I mean. Welcome to the channel. If you could, please hit that like button. And if you enjoyed the video, please consider subscribing. An interesting action figure was recently put up in the Toronto area, which I believe to be an Indian version of the Blue Power Ranger, Billy Cranston. They even have the same weapon. Now to the Canadian government ordering Air Canada flight attendants back to work.
Hours after they hit the picket lines, Ottawa intervened, ordering them back to work. CTV's Kamal Karamali starts us off.
This is what months of failed contract talks has spiraled into. Air Canada flight attendants setting up picket lines at airports across the country. In Toronto, Ottawa, Winnipeg, and BC.
Air Canada flight attendants deserve a fair deal, and they do deserve it now.
But less than 12 hours after going on strike,
good morning, everyone,
the federal government stepped in, forcing flight attendants back to work.
To order the parties to resume and continue their operations and duties.
Jobs Minister Patty Hajdu has ordered binding arbitration between the airline and the flight attendants union, citing stranded Canadians and critical cargo needing to be delivered. This now means a third party will set the terms for a new collective agreement. The Canada Industrial Relations Board, or CIRB, will also decide how soon flight attendants will be sent back to work and how long the existing agreement will be extended to allow that to happen.
This is not a decision that I have taken lightly, but the potential for immediate negative impact on Canadians and our economy is simply too great.
Now, I posted a bit about the strike in yesterday's video, but what I didn't know is that these flight attendants are only paid for their time in the air. On average, it turns out to them losing around $11,000 annually in unpaid work. So they definitely should be on strike. People should be paid from the time they start working. Now to Putin confirming that if Donald Trump had been president instead of Biden, there wouldn't have been a war.
I'd like to remind you that in 2022, during the last contact with the previous administration, I tried to convince my previous American colleague that the situation should not be brought to the point of no return when it would come to hostilities. And I said it quite directly back then that it's a big mistake. Today, when President Trump saying that if he was the president back then, there will be no war. And I'm quite sure that it would indeed be so. I can confirm that. I think that overall, me and President Trump have built a very good, businesslike, and trustworthy contact.
Take that, Democrats and CNN. But of course, that's not mentioned. Instead, the story is Putin's wins leaves Trump with hard choices. Always twisting the story. And that's why it's important you hit that like and subscribe button. Not just on my channel, but everyone that brings you the left out information that the government-funded CBC refuses to show you. After that meeting with Putin, Donald Trump had a phone call with the leaders of the G7 and NATO, but Mark Carney was not part of it. He did, though, come out with a statement praising Donald Trump.
Prime Minister Mark Carney is praising what he calls an openness by the U.S. to provide security guarantees to Ukraine without clarifying what those could be. In a statement, Carney said robust and credible security guarantees are essential to any just and lasting peace between Russia and Ukraine.
The Trump whisperer, the master negotiator, the man that preaches Orange Man bad, praising Donald Trump for his openness to provide security guarantees to Ukraine. I wonder what the elbows up crowd is thinking over this. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Now to probably the biggest issue in Canada right now.
We will return our immigration to sustainable levels by capping the total number of temporary workers and international students at less than 5% of Canada's population by the end of 2027.
The first 4 months of 2025 instead show that Canada welcomed just over 132,000 landed immigrants. The new numbers have been reported on by Blacklock's reporter, showing that we're on track to reach nearly 400,000 new permanent residents by year's end. Nearly 500,000 is well above the sustainable immigration levels that we've seen from previous governments, not to mention that the number of permanent residents alone has absolutely skyrocketed in recent years. But in came Trudeau's successor, Prime Minister Mark Carney, who stood in front of Canadians during his campaign and promised to cap immigration at sustainable levels.
With respect to immigration, last point, They are. We have not lived up to our promise to those we brought to this country. We don't have the capacity in terms of housing, social services, and those who came as students. They're not all getting the education they deserve in Canada. We need to build that capacity. We need to manage immigration at lower levels for a period of time, until we have those results and the capacity. And of course, that means working very, very closely between the federal and provincial governments. Thank you.
I think it's safe to say we are in for some serious trouble ahead in Canada. And that brings us to our next important clip, what's happening in the UK with housing, and a disturbing story of a single mother and her children being evicted to make room for asylum seekers. Even he is surprised. Now, sorry about the quality on this one. It was only available in 360p.
The Afghan man I spoke to earlier lived in the house, but he wasn't aware of an English family of 2 children who had been kicked out, so he and other migrants could move in. That was until I told him. And what happened next was that he was left visibly stunned and, quite frankly, couldn't believe Britain prioritised foreigners over English kids. In this example, an English lady and her 2 children were told to leave. And then the landlord, the person who owns the house, gets refugees in and more money. So English person is left with no house, and then we have
children.
2 children. Yeah.
No house.
No.
Why?
Because she lived in your house, and the landlord kicked them out. So you and others could live.
I'm going to hear children. No, this is not. This is lie.
No.
No.
Before you guys moved.
No,
in.
no. You have 1, 2, 3, 4. You have 4, 3, or 1 home for rent. Yeah. You have 1 refugee person, and then you have 1 children. You give children this home or refugee. Yeah, of course you bury this children. This is line.
No, but the landlord kicked the children out.
No, this is
no. He did.
Why?
But why? Because it's more money. Because Serco, the management company, they pay more money if you have refugees, asylum seekers. The government gives them lots of money, so the landlord makes more money by having you guys in there instead of the English lady with her kids. So that's why maybe sometimes you may experience British people being a bit upset. So it's not your fault, but it's the landlord and the government and Serco. You see?
I'm sorry.
No, it's not your fault. It's not your fault. You come here, you are escaping being killed, but that's maybe why sometimes you experience maybe British people are a bit cold,
I'm so
Just
sorry.
one example.
Yeah, thank you. I'm so sorry. This is not good news. This is very bad news. I don't know.
Coming soon to Canada. Absolutely disgusting that a government could do this to its own people. And of course, there's a lot of blame to put on the greedy landlords, but it's the government making it possible. Let me know your thoughts. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.